How about now?
No, one more time.
There's a little box. You just hit the little.
There.
Oh,
Oh.
there. No,
No?
whatever.
That flipped it around. Um,
That's all right.
no
Yeah,
biggie.
leave
It's
it.
gonna be
Sometimes
audio.
I've left them during the
Yeah.
show. It was yeah.
Yeah, that's you,
Yeah, you
Marla.
know what? Just
I'm a
ignore it.
professional.
Just pretend
What?
like it's not there.
All right.
All
We are
right.
coming in now. You have a great show.
Yeah.
Darkness has descended upon the city, and the creatures of the night have begun to stir. This is the time when the veil between the realms of the living and the dead is the thinnest, and all that is not what it appears to be. Like a lone sentinel, one candle flickers in the night, revealing all that lurks in the darkness. This is Ghost Chronicles, Book of Shadows. Welcome to the nightmare.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Chronicles Book of Shadows. I am Ron Kolick, New England's own Van Helsing, and with me, that wicked witch from the west.
Methuselah. Yeah.
Yeah, Marla Brooks.
Aye, aye.
Very good. So, anyways, we have someone on the show tonight. I happened to hear his interview on Pararex. He was on Magic TV with Robert Rubin, and he brought up some interesting things that I wanted to talk to him about. So, without further ado, do you want to introduce him?
Yeah, his name is Bob Freeman, and he's the occult detective. And I got a two-part question, and then I'll shut up for a minute. But some
Welcome, Bob.
what
Welcome.
some people might know what an occult detective is. So that would be the first question part. And the second one is, how did you become one?
Oh, that's fascinating. Thanks for having me to begin with. Glad you enjoyed the interview with Robert Rubin. It's been a while back. So if you're going to ask me specific questions about that interview,
Oh, you
hopefully
will.
I'm not too old to not remember
You will.
what I said. As for what is an occult detective is a person who investigates claims of the paranormal using a combination of observation, research, and in my case, an application of magical theory and practice. Yeah. And so by paranormal, I mean, just all things involved with high strangeness, hauntings, curses, strange phenomena, UFOs or UAPs, miracles, cryptids, all of it. So if somebody has something of interest and give me a call, I go investigate it. So
When did you start doing it? I'm thinking that you want to do things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started for me when I was a child, really. I formed my first ghost hunting group. Oh, it must have been about 1974 when I was 8 years old. And me and my friends rode around on bicycles around rural Indiana, and we went to old abandoned barns and churches, abandoned buildings, graveyards, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a fascination. The first official, real adult group I formed in 1983. That was the Night Stalkers, and I ran it up until just about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. Night Stalkers named after a Kozak's group?
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing that lit the fire under me, as a kid. When that first TV movie came out, I was obsessed. I already loved like Universal Monsters and all that kind of stuff, Marvel horror comics and all that. So I mean, I loved that as fiction, and kind of viewed it as fiction until I stumbled upon a book that had been my great grandmother's, and that made me believe that all this stuff just might be real, and kind of set me on the path that I've been on ever since.
So what book was that?
It was Unseen Forces by Manly Palmer Hall. And so I was staying at my grandparents' house, and my great-grandmother's things were in this old steamer trunk, and I was forbidden to go into that trunk. And like I said, I was spending the night there one weekend, and I'm sleeping in the room that trunk is, and it just kept speaking to me, So of course, curiosity got the best of me, and opened it up. And so as I'm digging through, like, there's old like quilts and all that kind of stuff, and then I start getting to this curious bit, which were like pages of astrology, notations that she had made about when to plant certain things, when the moon was right, when Mars was ascending, that kind of stuff. An 8-year-old me, I'm like, oh, what is this? And then underneath all that is that tiny little book, Unseen Forces. So I take it to the bed, and I was an avid reader anyway. And I read the whole thing that night, and it was all about ghosts, spirits, elementals, the dweller at the threshold, all the stuff that is the foundation of ceremonial magic was in this book. And reading it, I realized, it's like, wait, there are people that believe this. This is real.
Mm-hmm.
So from that moment on, I was a skeptical believer.
I was just going to say that.
Yep, I was looking for proof that book was correct. And it started, I grew up on a farm outside of a small town of 900 people. So yeah, I'm talking very rural Indiana. And just maybe, I don't know, 200 yards from the trailer we lived in on the corner of that farm was an old graveyard. And it was the Little Pipe Creek Cemetery. And it had an urban legend attached to it. So there was a gate that went around a fence that surrounded the graveyard, and there was a fence in the corner. And the legend was, whenever a woman would approach the gate would open and swing wide and let them walk in. When a man approached, it would open up, and as he started to go through, it would swing hard and hit them. So by the time I was out there looking at it, they had removed the gate because we were getting hurt. Right? But I'm like, okay, this place is haunted. So I started sneaking out of the trailer and going up there, and there was like an old oak tree right in the middle of the cemetery, and I would climb up in the crook of that tree and wait for ghosts. And, I did this for a couple of weeks. Nothing happened. And that's when I started thinking about that book again. And so I started performing rituals, trying to conjure a ghost forth. And then one night, one did, or at least appeared to. There was a mist that kind of rose up out of the back corner of the boneyard, and it kind of moved across towards me and had the shape of a woman. And so I was, okay, I'm sold. And
did you run away?
That told me that, to me, okay, ghosts are real. I see one, and magic works because I kind of made it happen. So
that's what I want to talk to you about too, because when I got Robert's show on PowerX, I was wondering about it a little bit, because most people think of magic, they think of sleight of hand, that type of stuff. But listening to the shows, it seems like it's a deeper and darker thing that people really believe.
Well, it can be dark. It depends on the person using it. magic is neutral, right?
Okay.
So you
Okay.
can use it for light or you can use it for dark, and it's up to people to judge for themselves which is which.
Mhm.
So
No pun intended.
yeah,
No.
right.
So where does these spells and incarnations come from? In other words, they have a beginnings. Are you aware where they come from?
Well, I mean, I would venture to say, yeah, I studied anthropology in college,
Mhm.
and I did a 3-year independent study in witchcraft, magic, and religion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was fascinating. But I think you can trace it back to primitive man. That's like if you look at ancient rock art, where they would paint pictures of animals on the walls with spears pointed towards them. They were doing rituals to help them with their hunt, right? They were praying to whatever, deities that they believed in, to help them make that happen. And so that was the earliest form of sympathetic magic. And I think all magic kind of sprang from that primal source.
Yeah, and spells comes as prayer. I mean, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. That's was always the funny thing because I grew up through the Satanic Panic, and it was funny that the things that you're accusing us of is you do every Sunday. You're performing, like the communion,
Mhm.
right? It's just a form of magic. Prayers, magic.
Mhm.
They just don't want to call it that.
Yeah, they get scared.
Yeah.
The difference is that in religion they call upon the white forces, whereas a lot of magical practitioners call upon the dark forces. They summon demons. They summon other entities as well.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Bible, right?
Mhm.
So Solomon, the king,
Yep.
right? Solomon conjured demons to help build the Temple of Solomon, right? Because he controlled them by the power of God.
Ah,
So
okay.
that's
Mhm.
always been a part of the Christian religion.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a part of magic, and that was magic. That's what he did. He was a great magician.
Yeah. Now, in this broadcast, I'm sorry I have to bring this up, but I know you said it was a long time ago, but you mentioned about some people that are new to magic, and they are summoning demons, yet they don't know how to control them.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, they find out quick enough. Yeah.
right. You have
Uh-huh.
you have to educate yourself, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I would never recommend anyone just to fumble blindly into magic. Certainly not to call upon spirits until you're until you understand the rules and how to protect yourself and protect others.
It's not a sport,
No, not at all. And it's not really a hobby.
No.
It's
Sure.
the kind of thing that you kind of have to devote yourself to.
It's education. That's the prelude.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And you keep learning. Yeah, go ahead.
well, you keep learning in life on everything you do, but so why is magic, other than using spells and incarnations, any different than manifesting what you want with the power of the cigarette or anything like that?
Well, right. That's it. It's all the same, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would never say it wasn't. It's all about will and intent,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can only go so far with certain things, and so yeah, will and intent will move mountains.
Yeah, I mean it amazes me because so many times in my everyday life, like a simple example of wanting something at a supermarket, and I go look for it and I can't find it. I go back to the spot, and sure enough, there'll be like one there. And did I really manifest it, or did I just not see it? That's the thing. But it happens a lot.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said, like, the kind of, like law of attraction, right? Mm-hmm. So that's not really my wheelhouse, but it's certainly.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to believe. That's another word that we have.
Yeah, but they all do. Every one of these modalities is based on belief, and
sure,
whatever you're doing is what you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Sure. Exactly.
Now, an interesting thing that you brought up in this interview with Robert again, and I'm sorry I have to keep bringing this up, but there was so many cool things that you talked about.
I love Robert, so yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
You talked about a lot of metaphysical metaphysical believers or whatever thing that go into locations and they burn some sage or something, and sometimes they do more harm than good, and sometimes some of their methods really don't solve the problem.
I would say most of the time that's the case.
Well, I didn't want to say that, but
it's because I spend a lot of time with the ghost hunting community, right?
Yeah.
A lot of paranormal investigators. I actually host a site so I have people that come from all over the country, so I'm dealing with these people all the time, and the vast majority of them are weekend warrior hobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always amazed at the dangers they put themselves in by not fully understanding what they're doing. And they'll say, well, as long as we say a prayer before we leave, nothing will follow us home. Well, that's not the way it works.
Mm.
For one thing, you're reading something that you see in a book, and you've not practiced it. You're just like, you're deciding this is the way it is, but you've not backed that up with the proper research.
Mm-hmm.
And those type of things.
Right. I remember one of your good lines was that you were talking about, you and Robert were talking about people that go in and they burn some sage and they think that's, going to solve everything. But your line to it was, well, that only pisses them off more at times.
yeah. That's very true. Yeah. You're just stirring them up, it's, but it can't be that dangerous, right? Because, you're not seeing on the news every night about bad things happening to ghost hunters,
mm-hmm.
Except for what they don't realize is all of a sudden they start having a run of bad luck.
Yeah.
Well, what's causing that? Do they have an attachment? Very recently, I had a woman come to me who believed she had an attachment, and I helped cleanse her of it. And
so
those things happen, and so you have to always be on the lookout, pay attention to the signs. Like I said, if you start having a run of bad luck, chances are there might be something, sometimes bad luck's bad luck.
Yeah.
But if you're involved in this as a hobby,
mm-hmm.
there's always that potential, and you just have to learn to protect yourself. And I guess that's what I'm here for. If people can come to me and I can help them out.
So you talked about this attachment. I mean, is that a common thing? Because there are a lot of people that go out, like you said, weekend warrior ghost hunters, and they go out and they go to a haunted place and they stir up this or that, and do some things, follow them home. And is it a common occurrence for attachment?
Well, I don't know if I would say it's common, but the potential is always there.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens often enough that, you see a trend, so nobody should take it lightly. And I think too many of them go out because they like to get scared. You know, they
That's the
enjoy
thing.
that part of it. The
They
people
ask
that I
for it.
appreciate are the people who are historians first. They're at a location because they want to know the history of it.
Mhm.
Beyond the fact that there may be a spirit inside, you know, that it's the history that, you know, that should captivate you and keep you going back.
So are those people in danger too?
Well, yeah, they certainly can be, but I find that those kind of people tend to research and know what they're getting into, right?
Okay.
So they're not going in as blind. For one thing, they know the history of the location. They know what type of spirits might be there,
Mhm.
right? So that kind of gives you a leg up if you know what you're walking into. So
Right. So when you talk about attachment, okay, so a spirit, explain exactly what an attachment is to her.
think of it like okay. So our physical bodies, right?
Mhm.
Think of it like a car, and your soul, your spirit, is the thing driving it around, right?
Right.
This is just a meat suit.
Yep.
So when you encounter a spirit, if it's a sentient being and not like something residual, but if it's a sentient being, it can climb inside and go for a ride. It's that simple. It's like it sees a car. Nobody's keeping them out of it. It's climbing in. It's going for a ride. And that's the simplest way to explain it. We are we are spirits in a material world, right? So they are spirit without form. And the way I've always understood it is that spirits are jealous because they can't touch, right? I'm sitting here, I'm tapping the table, right? They can't touch or feel, smell, any of those things
Well, how can they move objects?
with their minds, the same way we can with the proper training.
Okay,
That's
I get it.
it's not something I've mastered, but
Yeah.
there
No,
are people that
that's
can do
curious.
it.
Yeah.
I've seen it, but it's just a force of will, right? So that's why they can, manipulate magnetic fields and those sorts of things. But yeah, so they covet flesh. That's certain ones, not all, right? There's a whole universe of magical beings out there. It's not just ghosts are not just dead people. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There are things that have never known form. They've never been
Elementals and things.
right. Sure. Those are all
So-
those things are out there.
So an elemental, what is an elemental? We throw those words around, but they're never really explained to anyone.
Well, okay. Think of the four elements, right?
Yep.
So earth, wind, fire, water,
Yep.
right? So these are beings that exist in that sort of dimension, and they can't. But an elemental can take a physical form. Usually, they can shift in and out because they're extra dimensional, right? So they can cross over in areas. It's like I don't know how. Where do you guys live? What part of the world?
She lives in California, and I live in New England.
Okay, all right. So, I was going to bring up Puckwudgies. I didn't know if you were familiar with
I've
her.
actually had run-ins with Puckwudgies.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we are thick with them here, right?
Are you really?
Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
them.
That's so where I live is in the heart of what used to be the Miami Indian Nation.
Mhm.
Okay, and so the Mississippi River is this magical course of water that flows through, and there's all these sacred sites along there. And Puckwudgies or goblins, they occupy those lands. There's not far from here. When I was a teenager, there was a place all the kids went to, and they called it Hobbit Land. Now, they called it Hobbit Land because Miami Indians said that there were little people that lived out there. So, of course, you take kids in the 60s that are, smoking pot and reading, J.R.R. Tolkien. You say little people and they think hobbits. So they called the place Hobbitland. Still out there. I still go out often. But yeah, so it's called that because of the Pukwudgie that live there. And they will most often be invisible, or you'll see them as points of light, sort of like will-o-wisps or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But other times, you'll see their eyes in the brush. They're pretty sneaky. So when I was a little kid, they told us that these farmers or fishermen had caught one, and they had it down at the local trailer park in the shed. They actually owned the park.
Oh wow!
And they had it in a bird cage. And so all the kids wanted to go down there and see it, of course, right? So we go down there, we sneak in, and go in, and the cage is busted open, and it's all smashed up. And of course, they say, "Well, it escaped," But as you're a little kid, you're thinking, "Okay," But fascinating stuff. But yeah, so Pukwudgies are elementals.
Okay. So that was the 2-minute warning, which means we've actually got to take a break shortly. So
okay, no problem.
Interesting stuff, Bob. I appreciate you spending time with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah. If you ever you want to see my run-in with the Pukwudgies, you can go on to the internet, YouTube, of course, and see when Pukwudgies attack.
Oh,
and there's a little bit on there.
It's creepy. It's good.
Oh, nice. Yes, I look forward to watching it.
Anyway,
I guess I'll wait till after the break, and then I'll tell you a quick Pukwudgie story.
Oh, I love Pukwudgies. Okay, I have some other stories too on that one too. So anyway, we do have to take a break. We have the Bridgewater Triangle, so that's prime Pukwudgie area down here. Anyways, we do have to take a break. You're listening to Ghost Chronicles Book of Shadows right here on PowerX and TogiNet Radio, and we're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street in Methuen, Massachusetts. The great metaphysical store, and they have classes and everything else. Cool place. I do classes there as well, so you can always check out classes I do. Also, we are brought to you by our good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon, and the whatever. We'll talk about that later. We'll be right back.
Do you have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net or call 978-455-6678.
Shadow on the wall that looks like a man. Lord, that lamp just moved on that stand. I got movement in the cellars, I got footsteps in the hall. There's no time to waste, I better make some calls. I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. This old house has a long history. It should be real, real good for activity. And we got the house wired for sound and got motion alarms setting all around. Got a box full of batteries ready to go, and everyone's itching to start this show. Got our logo tees, driving black SUVs, and that one bald guy with a slick goatee. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set. Let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is your big brother Mike calling. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set. Let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rider friends are ghost hunting tonight. That's right. Go get 'em, boys.
Oh, are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
And our guest tonight is the occultic deputy, Bob Freeman, and it's me, Marla, and Ron, and we're doing good stuff here today.
Interesting guest. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, Bob, you still with us there?
I am.
So, where can people find out more about you?
Probably my website would be the best, cultdetective.com. And I'm on social media under that moniker, like Twitter, Occult Detective, it's, I'm really easy to find.
Oh, there you go. So, you're going to tell us a Pukwudgie story before.
Oh yeah. I get phone calls from people all the time about, strange occurrences that, happen. And they were, a woman called me, and she had been out at a place called Seven Pillars. And Seven Pillars is this limestone formation along the Mississippi River. It's got these columns that are kind of carved into the limestone. And just a very magical place. A lot of great energy there. Well, she was out there with her kid, kind of walking along the bank. And they see two little creatures. Goblins is the way she referred to it. Of course, we're talking Pukwudgies, and they're throwing rocks at them. And so her kid, takes off running ahead of her, and she's looking back at the creatures, and then she turns and she almost runs into a 6-foot tall Native American man in tribal dress.
Oh,
and she's like, "Oh, excuse me." And he says, "No problem. I want you to be safe." And she says, "Oh, thank you. There's something over there." And her son, like, "Who are you talking to? There's nobody there." So, and then this Indian just disappeared. So, and then the Pukwudgies disappeared also. So, so she was asking, what's happening, So I was explaining to her that most likely that, that man appeared to protect you from the Pukwudgie. Now, the Pukwudgie here, the legend is, according to the Miami, is that when you die, your spirit passes through 7 pillars on the way to the Milky Way, and the Pukwudgie lead your spirit through that portal. So like I said, they're really thick around there. So
it's so funny because it just reminded me of these. I was going to play them, but I can't because I have the phone number in it. But received these 2 phone calls about this Italian guy from Connecticut and New England Connection. He calls me up and says, "You come here right today. I have Pukwudgies. You come now." So I go ahead.
I was just gonna say that this area is, I bring up the Pukwudgie, but there's so many, what most people would term cryptids in this area. I had an experience with, I guess, what most people would call a dogman or like a werewolf type creature. And there's dozens of people who have had similar sightings in that area. There's also a sort of Mothman-like creature that moves around a place called Red Bridge. I had a woman call me one night, just hysterical. And she was driving across Red Bridge, and she saw what she thought was a man standing in the middle of the road. So she slows down, and then she stops because he's not moving. And then she thought he was wearing like a long trench coat. And he looked up, and his eyes were glowing red. And then the coat opened up, and they were actually wings, and he flew straight up.
Oh.
Yeah. So, that was pretty. And then a week later, another woman called me with in the exact same area where she's driving along at night, and she sees, the silhouette of a man standing by the side of the road with his, back up against a tree. And she thought it was kind of odd, right? So she slows down, and then all of a sudden he slid up the tree with his back to it.
Oh.
So we've got that kind of stuff out here, like crazy. It's all tied to Native American, mythos. So it was all sacred land to them. So.
Throughout the country, our Pukwudgies were the result of an uprising of the creatures against the god, I forget which tribe now. Oh God, I can't remember. But anyways, they killed the son of the god, and so the god came and squished him down and threw him out all over the country. That's the legend here.
I wonder if there's any here in California. I never heard about it.
Pukwudgies? Oh,
Yeah.
you know what you're missing.
I know. I'm going to have to go look because, we had the Indians too,
I know.
but I never thought about it. I thought maybe it was all in your area.
Well, you've got Bigfoot, right? So you're all right.
Well, yeah, I know.
Up north,
but
anyway.
Yeah, everybody's got Bigfoot nowadays. I mean,
yeah, right. Ohio, all my friends in Ohio are, calling. Yeah, you need to get out here.
I have people that send me pictures from New England of Bigfoot. So whatever. I mean, it's so much. The interesting thing, Bob, I mean, you're sure of a lot of the stuff that you're dealing with because you do it. But to me, as a, I have a degree in environmental science. I worked on a space program, pretty level guy when it comes to that stuff. But to me, it's more difficult. It's a kind of like a show me guy. So, some of the stuff I just have a hard time wrapping my little brain around. So,
I mean, but I've hunted them, so.
No, I believe you absolutely believe what you do. So, I mean, that's, yeah.
I've never seen one though. So
really?
Nope. I've never seen a Sasquatch I hunted the skunk ape in Florida. for a
Oh.
couple of weeks. I hunted dogmen in the Ozarks in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and
You've
of
been all
course,
around then, huh?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's mostly in the continental U.S., but I've been to Scotland and done some investigations and been into Mexico, Canada, that kind of stuff. But
So what'd you do up in Scotland? Because I have a lot of friends up in Scotland. So
Roslyn Chapel, just
okay.
outside of Edinburgh, if you're
Yep.
familiar with it.
Yeah.
This was before Da Vinci Code made it impossible to get into the place. But so luckily, when we were there was, there was nobody there. People just didn't go see it. It was rare. So luckily, I knew about it from like Holy Blood, Holy Grail, books like that.
Right.
So yeah, my wife and I went, and we had the run of the place. We got to go down in the crypts underneath. Yeah, I didn't find anything. Didn't really have any experiences other than being in a beautiful old church, and that was enough for me. I was looking for more, but
See, that's what makes you more credible, I think, than a lot of people, because you just said something very intriguing. I didn't find anything. Now, most people will give you, some kind of a sound on a recorder or a little blip of EMF meter or something and say, "Oh, well, I got all this. I got the ghost of something or other." And so, to me, that is much more credible, and that you basically you're telling the truth.
the worst thing that ever happened was paranormal shows on TV, because they take an 8-10 hour investigation and condense it down into 40 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And so everybody expects there to be stuff happening constantly. And so every little, bump, groan, whatever, well, that's obviously something paranormal, and it's just they're, and they just don't have that. Back in the old days, you'd go into a place and you'd be happy, to get anything from all being there all night. And, now they just, and they're using equipment that is suspect at best. I don't use like EMF detectors, any of that stuff.
Okay.
I still hunt old school. And it was weird because like where I live, we didn't have cable TV here. They didn't get cable until like well, once they did get cable, they didn't have like Sci-Fi Channel or any of that kind of stuff. So I'd never seen like Ghost Hunters, like when it first came out. I didn't even know it existed. And I would go out and hunt and never see anybody that did what I did, unless they were friends of mine and I was taking them. Well, one night we were at a place called Okefenokee, which is like a place where like gangland murders that occurred in Chicago, they would drive them down here in northern Indiana and bury them in this woods. So, so you would get some activity out there. But anyway, I'm out there one night just to see what's happening. And I run into these two guys, and they've got EMF detectors and flashlights that they're turning just so they're not on. And I was like, "Hey, what's going on? What's this stuff?" And they said, "Oh, we're ghost hunters." Oh, really? Okay. Well, this is neat. I've never seen this kind of equipment. So they showed me what they were doing. Okay. Sounds plausible what they're telling me. And then a week later, I'm out at Hobbitland to do some hunting, and I run into a group of people out there with the exact same equipment, and note for note explaining to me how it works. And I was like, "Yeah, it's from the show Ghost Hunters." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So of course, I'm intrigued. So I investigated the equipment stuff, and I find it suspect. It's. But whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't matter, right? So I do see activity that occurs. I think it's synchronicity. Stuff happens. But I don't begrudge anybody that does use it. But yeah, but anyway, those TV shows just kind of trained people. So everybody investigates the same way because it's what they see on TV, and they all started hunting because they saw it on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's and it just like really did parapsychology a disservice, I think. But
I mean it's what they I remember doing an investigation. We did a place, and the words of the owner when we were done was like, well, that's not how they do it on Ghost Hunters. It's like,
right.
Isn't. No, it isn't. You're right.
Look, and if you've been around it enough to know, you probably know people that do shows, right? That have been on shows.
Okay.
And what they generally tell me is that they show up at the location, they investigate it for themselves, and then they roll cameras, and then that's when they bring that equipment out because it looks good on TV.
Right.
You know, it's because at the end of the day, it's a show, and they, it's what they have to do. But most of them, not all of them, but most of them are legitimately interested in the field and investigate very different, when the cameras are off.
Right.
And and so it's a living, or it used to be. It's
Yeah, I mean,
they're all going to YouTube now, so
yeah, well, good for them. But that's the thing too. There's so many different teams out there now. It's so flooded, and unfortunately with AI now, it's you can't trust anything.
Yeah, I hate AI with every fiber of my being. I do,
You want to talk about dark forces? That's dark forces, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, being an occult detective isn't my day job, right? So I write like horror novels, and I write, true paranormal stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I do a lot of artwork for people. I do like book covers, interior illustrations, that kind of stuff. And that's AI is cutting into my, my business because I'm not getting that gig to do a cover because AI is doing it.
Bob, it's even worse than that. I'm involved right now in a class action lawsuit for writers that actually had their books stolen from AI with AI.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want a demonic force, that's a demonic force right there.
Hey, I've had some of my art and some of my writing accused of being AI.
Really? Oh,
simply because. Okay, so here's the thing. I was told because I like to use M dashes and ellipses and stuff like that. They said, well, that's an indicator that like no, like you use semicolons. No, nobody uses semicolons, but AI. So you people are crazy.
Well,
but that, they're looking for AI everywhere. So you've got half the people that are using it, and then another half that are just trying to call people out on it. And so a lot of good people are getting caught up in that. So
that's a shame, actually.
And a lot of bad people are getting, they're just rewards. So
hopefully. So do you have an experience that was truly profound for you? I know you do a lot, so it's hard. But if you have one or two, I don't care. Whatever it's.
I mean, I don't know if I was going to think of like a defining moment. I mean, there was a lot leading up to, but I'll tell you one that occurred in 2006. Okay. I can't say the location. The location is
fine.
Undisclosed, but it was an old Oddfellows lodge, and my father was connected to the place, and they would have people that would spend the night in it. And one early Sunday morning, he called me and said, "You need to meet me up at the building right now." Okay. So I'm thinking somebody broke into the place. So I go up and meet him, and what it was, they had a husband and wife that spent the night. They're the only ones in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And they heard footsteps up on the third floor, and they heard him descend the stairs, walk up the hallway, and then the doorknob started turning. So the husband gets out of bed, opens the door, there's nothing there. So they freak out, call my dad. My dad calls me. He says, hey, why don't you bring your group in here and check this place out, you know? So I did. And so I guess that defining moment was I was on the third floor, and that's where the Oddfellows, you know, did their rituals and such. And I was walking into this small closet, and it felt like something reached into my chest and squeezed, right?
Oh.
I feel this like oppressive just force. And I'm calling for my colleagues, you know, hey, there's something going on here. And I'm backing up. They come into the room, and then a black mass formed in front of us. And then it darted through the doorway and into the main ritual chamber and disappeared in the shadows. And yeah, so in a lot of ways, you know, I'd had decades of investigating up to that moment, but you know, that was the first time that not the first time I thought I was in danger, but the first, yeah, it was certainly frightening.
Right.
And yeah, it stuck with me, you know, and so I still investigate the place, take people in there all the time. Yeah, there's definitely a dark energy there. But yeah, it was very, very impactful. The other one I would bring up is my first experience with, let's just call it a werewolf. We used to do magic rituals at this place called Goose Creek. And let me explain this real quick. Okay, so the Mississinawa River was dammed by the Army Corps of Engineers in 1966. They flooded a whole town. They flooded all these sacred lands. So every fall, they let the water out. So you've got these ruins all over the place.
Oh,
and
cool.
so we would go out there, and there was this old road that stretched across this area. Most of the year, it's underwater. But so there it is, and there used to be a bridge, so you got this big abyss, and we used to go out there and perform rituals. When we were in high school, it was like the Necronomicon, right? So that kind of stuff. So anyway, we would go out there, and one night, this would have been in 1986, me and some of my friends were going out there just to look at the old ritual site, and we, you know, buddy taps me, and he says, "Look, what is that over there?" They're like in the woods. You see these glowing eyes, kind of gold, kind of red. They're low to the ground. It's like, oh, you know, I don't know. It's a pack of dogs, maybe. I don't know. We should probably get out of here. So we got to walk past them up the road to get back to where our car's up at the top of the hill. And we're moving along, and they're growling and they're rustling. And we're like, okay. And then one of them stands up on its hind legs, and and first one guy starts running, then everybody's running, and and we can hear them on our heels.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like just tear. You can hear their claws on the road, and there's like a barricade at the top of that hill, and we all dive over it, run to our cars, jump inside, turn around, and there's nothing there. It's gone. But I mean, you know, and so I'm like, you know, that was an amazing experience, and I just it's so in my head. And in the 2000s, people started reporting that kind of stuff all of a sudden, that they were having experiences with these kind of creatures out there. And it turns out the Miami Indians had talked about them for decades, or, you know, from, you know, a couple hundred years ago in this area. So,
Rob, I hate to say this, but we actually got to wrap it up. You've been a fascinating guest. I've enjoyed every minute of this show. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
And people should go over to your website because there's a whole bunch of stuff really good.
All right, so give us a website out again.
Occultdetective.com.
There you go. Easy enough to remember. If so, you've talked about it several times in the show, so I assume you do, that people have problems, you try to solve them too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. People reach out to me all the time.
Okay, excellent. Well, Bob, once again, thank you very much, and we've got to wrap it up.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So today's show, you've been listening to Ghost Chronicles Book of Shadows with Marla Brooks and Ron Kolick right here on TogiNet and PowerX Radio, brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts, the Glant Messier Family Law Group, 50 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. Our very good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon who help bring the show to you. And also our good friend Leslie Martin's Positively Brilliant Reiki Infused Candles on Etsy. So stay tuned. Next week, we'll have some more interesting guests. Probably not as anyone as interesting as you were, Bob.
Thank you.
I really did enjoy it. That's all I can say.
Me too.
I had fun. So anytime you want me back, just let me know.
I appreciate that. Well, good night, everyone. Stay safe and God bless.
From ghoulies to ghosties, long-leggedy beasties,